60 seconds. That is the timeline. That is all the time a man is given to dismantle a reputation, to crush a legend before it is even born, and to rewrite the laws of physics with nothing but bone and intent. You are not watching a movie scene. The cameras have stopped rolling, the director has called cut. But the violence is just waking up. We are in Pak Chong, Thailand. It is 1971. The air here is so thick with humidity, you feel like you are breathing through a wet wool blanket. It sits on your skin, heavy and suffocating. On the set of The Big Boss, the atmosphere is poisonous. You have a crew that has been working in triple-digit heat for weeks. They are tired, they are covered in mosquito bites, and they are watching a small man in a white tank top try to tell them how to fight. To the locals, this man, Bruce Lee, is just an actor. He is a dancer from Hollywood with fast hands and a loud mouth. They do not see a master, they see a tourist. And in Thailand, fighting is not a performance, it is a religion. It is hard, ugly, and undeniably real. So, inevitably, the tension snaps. From the shadows of the set, a man steps forward. He is a local stuntman, but do not let that title fool you. This man is a former Muay Thai champion. He is built like a tank, with thighs the size of tree trunks and shin bones that have been calcified into iron bars from years of kicking banana trees. He doesn't look like he belongs in a movie. He looks like he belongs in a cage. He is tired of the choreography. He is tired of pulling his punches for the Chinese dancer. He looks at Bruce Lee, then looks at the ground and spits. The sound cuts through the buzzing of the generator like a whip crack. The entire crew freezes. You have to understand the gravity of this moment. This isn't just an ego clash. This is a challenge of styles. It is the ancient, brutal efficiency of Muay Thai against the philosophical fluidity of Jeet Kune Do. And right now, nobody is betting on the philosophy. The challenger makes a simple, brutal proposition. They will fight. No scripts, no wires, no directors yelling cut. If the Thai fighter lands his signature roundhouse kick, a weapon that has broken ribs and ended careers in the stadiums of Bangkok, Bruce has to admit that his kung fu is inferior. He has to admit it is just a dance. He has to walk away. If Bruce survives, the stuntman bows. The atmosphere shifts instantly. It stops being a film set and becomes an execution ground. The crew circles up. There is no cheering. There is only a heavy, expectant silence broken by the chirping of insects in the jungle. They are waiting for blood. They are waiting to see the Hollywood star get carried out on a stretcher. The challenger steps onto the dirt. He begins his rhythm. It is a terrifying sound if you know what you are listening for. It is the rhythmic, bouncing step of a Muay Thai fighter. Thump, thump, thump. He is loading his weight, preparing to unleash a kick that generates enough force to snap a baseball bat in half. He looks confident. Why wouldn't he be? He has weight, reach, and the home field advantage. He knows the terrain. He knows the heat. Bruce Lee stands opposite him. And this is where things get strange. Most men, when facing a tank, try to make themselves look bigger. They puff up their chests, they shout, they try to match the aggression. Bruce does none of that. He stands completely still. His hands are loose at his sides. He isn't bouncing. He isn't mimicking the Thai rhythm. He looks almost bored. But if you look closely at his eyes, you see it. He isn't looking at the challenger's face. He is watching the man's shoulders. He is watching his hips. He is calculating geometry in real time. The challenger sees this stillness as weakness. He thinks the actor is frozen in fear. So, he commits. He winds up. The telegraph is subtle, but it is there. The weight shifts to the back leg. The hips begin to rotate. The challenger is launching a roundhouse kick aimed directly at Bruce's head. It is a kill shot. It is the kind of kick that doesn't just knock you out. It changes who you are for the rest of your life. The crew flinches. They expect the impact. They expect the crunch of bone. But here is the thing about Bruce Lee that nobody on that set understood yet. They thought fighting was about force. They thought it was about who could hit harder. Bruce knew that fighting is actually about time, specifically the empty spaces inside of time. Every rhythm has a gap. Every beat has a silence in between. The Thai fighter is moving to a beat. 1, 2, strike. It is powerful, but it is predictable. Bruce doesn't live in the beat. He lives in the broken tempo. In the fraction of a second before that deadly shin bone connects with his temple, Bruce doesn't retreat. That is what every instinct screams at you to do, move away from the pain. But Bruce moves in. He steps directly into the danger zone. He collapses the distance. He finds the blind spot. There is a specific quarter-second gap where a Muay Thai fighter is completely vulnerable. It is the moment during the weight transfer, when one foot is off the ground and the body is fully committed to the rotation. In that split second, you cannot change direction. You cannot defend. You are a passenger in your own body. Bruce identified that gap before the kick even left the ground. The sound that follows isn't the wet thud of a kick landing. It is something sharper. It is the sound of air being violently displaced. Bruce's lead leg explodes upward, not in a roundhouse, but in a straight, piercing line. It is a sidekick, driven directly into the center of the challenger's chest. It happens so fast that the human eye almost misses the mechanism of it. One moment, the challenger is the predator, winding up to destroy his prey. The next moment, a 200-pound man is lifted off the ground as if he were made of straw. He is airborne. The physics don't seem to make sense. The momentum of his own kick, combined with the explosive force of Bruce's counter, creates a collision that sends him flying backward. He crashes into the dirt, skidding, gasping for air. The fight is over before the sweat from his brow even hits the ground. The silence that follows is deafening. It is heavier than the heat. The crew is stunned. They look from the man groaning in the dirt to the small man in the white tank top. Bruce hasn't moved. He hasn't broken a sweat. He is standing in the exact same spot, hands loose, breathing calmly through his nose. The 60 seconds I told you about? We are only 10 seconds in. The immediate threat is neutralized. The dominance is established. But this is the moment where most stories end, and where the legend usually begins. You expect the victor to gloat. You expect the "I told you so." You expect humiliation. But Bruce doesn't do that. He doesn't smile. He doesn't pose for the crowd. He looks at the fallen man and he sees something the others don't. He doesn't see an enemy. He sees a student. He walks over to the man who just tried to take his head off. The crew tense up again. Is he going to finish him? Is he going to kick him while he's down to prove a point to the rest of the doubters? Bruce extends a hand. He pulls the gasping stuntman to his feet. He brushes the dirt off the man's shoulder. And then he leans in close. He whispers something. He doesn't shout it for the crowd. He keeps it between the two of them. He begins to explain exactly why. The kick failed. He starts talking about the broken rhythm. This is the turning point. This is where the story shifts from a fight to a lesson. Because defeating a man is physical, but dismantling his understanding of the world, that is psychological. Bruce wasn't just faster. He was operating on a different operating system entirely. However, the stuntman isn't ready to listen yet. His pride is stinging more than his chest. He pulls away. He looks at Bruce with confusion, then anger. He doesn't understand what just happened. To him, it feels like a trick. It feels like magic, and he wants another go. He backs up. He shakes his head. Clearing the cobwebs, he signals that he isn't done. He wants round two. He thinks he just got caught off guard. He thinks it was a fluke. Bruce sighs. He realizes that sometimes one lesson isn't enough. Sometimes you have to show the work twice. But this time, Bruce decides to show them something they have never seen before. He decides to show them the dragon. And what happens in the next 45 seconds will become the story that every person on that set tells their grandchildren for the next 50 years. Round two is ugly, but not in the way you expect. It isn't bloody. It is ugly, because it is the visual definition of frustration. The stuntman changes his strategy. He realizes he cannot win a striking match against a ghost. So he decides to use his mass. He wants to clinch. He wants to grab Bruce, wrap those thick arms around him, and drag him into the deep water where size matters more than speed. He charges like a bull, head down, elbows flared, desperate to close the gap. But Bruce is already gone. This is where the concept of broken rhythm stops being a theory and becomes a physical nightmare for the challenger. In Muay Thai, like in music, there is a cadence. Step, step, strike. It is predictable. Bruce is fighting in half beats. When the stuntman steps, Bruce is already pivoting. When the stuntman exhales to strike, Bruce is striking on the inhale. He is disrupting the man's neurological timing. To the crew watching, it looks like a magic trick. The Thai fighter swings at air. He kicks shadows. He is burning energy at a terrifying rate, his chest heaving, sweat stinging his eyes. Bruce is dancing around him, not running away, but staying just outside the perimeter of death. He is calm. He is terrifyingly calm. Then, Bruce decides it is time to close the loop. He stops moving. He plants his feet in the dirt. He offers himself as a stationary target. The stuntman, blinded by exhaustion and rage, sees one last opening. He roars, a guttural sound of pure effort, and launches a flying knee. It is a desperate all-or-nothing move. If it connects, it crushes ribs. If it misses, he is defenseless. Bruce watches the knee coming. He doesn't flinch. He waits for that microscopic moment, the blink of an eye where gravity takes over and the fighter is suspended in the air. And then, Bruce snaps. His leg comes up, high and fast, a blur of white canvas shoe. But he doesn't kick the man away this time. He executes a controlled high kick that stops exactly 1 inch from the challenger's nose. The air pressure from the snap hits the stuntman's face. The control is absolute. Bruce holds his leg there, frozen in the air, a statue of violence held in check. The stuntman lands awkwardly, stumbling back, his eyes crossing to look at the shoe hovering in front of his face. He flinches, waiting for the impact that never comes. The set goes silent again. But this silence is different. It isn't the silence of anticipation. It is the silence of reverence. Bruce slowly lowers his leg. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't need to. He just proved that he could have ended the man's life. But he chose not to. He chose mercy. And in the martial arts world, mercy is the ultimate display of power. Only the weak destroy because they are afraid. The strong preserve because they are in control. The Thai fighter stands there, chest heaving, the adrenaline draining out of him, replaced by a cold realization. He wasn't fighting an actor. He was fighting a master. Slowly, the aggression leaves his posture. The tank melts. He brings his hands together, raises them to his face, and bows. It is a deep, traditional Thai way, a gesture of supreme respect. Bruce bows back. He walks over, wraps an arm around the man's sweaty shoulders, and they walk off the execution ground together. The crew exhales. The tension breaks. The mosquitoes go back to buzzing, and the generator hums on, but the energy has shifted forever. That day, Bruce Lee didn't just win a fight. He won the crew. He won the country. He showed them that Kung Fu wasn't just flowery movements, it was a science of combat. But more importantly, he taught that stuntman, and everyone watching, that the goal of fighting isn't to defeat the enemy. It is to eliminate the need for the enemy to exist. Years later, that stuntman would tell this story to anyone who would listen. He didn't tell it with shame. He didn't hide the fact that he was tossed like a rag doll. He told it with pride. He was the man who touched the dragon's claw and lived to tell the tale. He was upgraded, just as Bruce intended. So here we are, decades later, looking back at a grainy memory from a humid set in Thailand. And it forces you to look in the mirror and ask a hard question. We all face tanks in our lives. Maybe it is a boss who yells. Maybe it is a system that feels unfair. Maybe it is a problem that seems too big to move. When that tank comes charging at you, what is your instinct? Do you try to meet force with force? Do you puff up your chest, shout louder, and try to crash into it head-on? Because if you do, you are just playing by their rhythm. You are fighting their fight. Or do you have the discipline to find the broken rhythm? Can you find that quarter-second gap where the problem is vulnerable? Can you step into the blind spot? And the most important question of all, when you finally win, and if you fight like Bruce, you will win. What do you do with the person you defeated? Do you crush them to feed your ego? Do you humiliate them to prove you were right? Or do you extend a hand, pull them up from the dirt and whisper the secret in their ear? True mastery isn't about how many people you can knock down. It's about how many people you can lift up after the fight is over. Bruce Lee walked off that set in 1971, leaving a man standing who should have been on a stretcher. He chose to build a bridge instead of digging a grave. Ask yourself today, are you breaking bones or are you breaking rhythms? Because one makes you a fighter, The other makes you a legend.